Let's bring in Jeff Knittel, the president and CEO of Airbus Americas. Jeff, we have talked extensively in the past about the state of the airline industry, and when we talked in March, you were concerned about COVID-19. Given what we saw yesterday with the quarantine restrictions from those 3 states in the tri-state area, as well as Europe possibly restricting travel from the U.S. to Europe, how worried are you about passenger levels falling off?
Well, obviously, Phil, this is not helpful. When there are restrictions by state, it creates obstacles. But the fact is, we can only control so much. And our job is to create the safest environment possible for the passengers. So when they're ready to fly, that we, as the airplane manufacturer and our partners, the airlines, provide that service and give them the comfort that they expect from us and they will receive from us.
And we'll talk about that a little bit more extensively in a bit, but not to beat a dead horse, but if the travel numbers don't come back, are you worried that the airlines have enough cash to make it over the next 2 years, or are they going to have to go back in some fashion and come up with even more money, whether it's the private markets or looking to the federal government?
Well, it's obviously airline by airline. I think that this specific situation has been different than anything that I've experienced over my 40-year career, whether it was 9/11, the financial crisis, and the like. All of them had a dramatic impact on aviation, but this is the one that's most unpredictable. I think the airlines went into this situation positioned as best they could in terms of their financial wherewithal and their strategies. Now, that being said, obviously, they're all burning cash at different rates. I think raising cash is a smart move in an environment where rates are low. So they're all building cash and preparing themselves for the long haul. Now, there's a cost to that, as has been pointed out in the past. But the reality is the rates are low, and they have put themselves in a position to succeed over the next year or two. So do I have a comfort there? Yes, I do. I think they're doing the right thing, but this has been unpredictable, as you just mentioned, quarantines in certain states, certain countries, and the like. So I think the CEOs and the boards of the airlines have taken a conservative and smart approach to what they've done.
Jeff, you talked about creating an environment where it is safe to fly, and the HEPA filters on all of the aircraft, recirculating the air. That's been borne out within the industry by study after study. But at the end of the day, if somebody sits down next to you and doesn't have a mask on, or refuses to put the mask on, or takes it off mid-flight, it makes people uncomfortable. How do you get the public to truly understand that this is all about interaction with each other in a confined environment? And it doesn't matter how much you recirculate that air, how many times you disinfect that plane. If the guy next to you doesn't want to follow the rules, it kind of is a moot point.
Well, in a lot of ways, Phil, you're right. But that's true if you're in a restaurant. That's true if you're in a hotel or in a lot of different settings. You can't control everything. What we're trying to do is control the things that we can control and put ourselves and put the passenger in the safest possible position. And you're right. We recirculate the air every 2 to 3 minutes completely through HEPA filters. That you're not going to receive that in essentially any other environment. Masks are important. We can't emphasize that enough. And the airlines are requiring that. But if someone were to take an action like taking their mask off, the flight attendants will address it, and I think that will be under control. I've had the opportunity to fly several times over the last few weeks, and what I've seen is an environment where passengers are calm, and every week they've been more comfortable, and it's become natural. I have not seen one instance of a passenger pushing back saying, I'm not going to wear my mask. Now, all of us, when we sip our water or eat a snack, have to lift our mask. But I think everyone realizes what we're involved in, certainly the people that I've seen, and have taken appropriate course in terms of covering their face.
Hey, Jeff, recently Dave Calhoun, the CEO at Boeing, got in a little bit of hot water when he was asked if he thought any of the major carriers would go into bankruptcy. And I think he answered honestly and said, you know, it could happen. Not to put you at risk, but would you worry that any of the major carriers could go bankrupt just because we don't know how this is going to play out?
Well, look, I think that this industry has restructured itself over the last 10 years, really, to put itself in the best possible position. So as I look over the next 12 months, no, I'm not concerned about that. Now, I can't predict what will happen with this virus, whether it's quarantine or not. But what I do see is every week, and quite honestly, every day, the passenger levels increasing across the U.S., and that's a good thing. So that's our focus, to help the airlines put more passengers on airplanes and to help them gain comfort, them being the passenger, in being on the airplane. And that's what we control. But to the earlier point, I think the airlines have done a really good job of creating liquidity. And it's a smart thing to do to help them get through this crisis.